are we the only intelligent life ever to be blessed upon the great landscape that is everything that is known? Of course not. That would be very stupid of us to believe. You're talking about like an infinite amount of galaxies and solar systems and planets and everything else. It's just hubris to believe that we are the only ones out there. But let's dig into this a little deeper. Let's go from beyond just the viewpoint of, is there intelligent life out there beyond ourselves? That's kind of a no-brainer. Instead, let's ask the question, have we been visited by such intelligent life? And I think one of the very first things to really think about and to understand is what it would mean for a species of alien to come and see us from another solar system, even, or another galaxy, or whatever you want to think about it. And what would it take? It would take something quite astronomical. It would take figuring out the speed of light. First off, at the very, very least, you'd have to figure out the speed of light. To give you guys kind of an idea of the vast distance our galaxy, just the one Milky Way galaxy is, if you were able to master warp drive, which is much faster than the speed of light, it would still take you 22 years just to reach the edge of the Milky Way galaxy. Think about that for a moment. That's absolutely insane. That is how huge the Milky Way galaxy is. It's really spectacular. So, an alien species, intelligent life, is visiting Earth from outside our galaxy. They have mastered warp drive at the very least. It's safe to say. That, or they live for such an incredible long time. I suppose that could be possible. Or they're able to like cryogenically freeze themselves, or some version of that. Or they have mastered wormholes. First off, they'd have to prove that wormholes exist, that they're possible, then figure out how to make them stable, then figure out how to keep them stable, then figure out how to travel through them without dying, then figure out how to, navigate it, decide where the other end pops up. Either way, my point is this. Any intelligent life that may be visiting us on Earth has to be insanely intelligent. Like, more intelligent than anything that we could ever possibly even wrap our heads around. So now let's look at the human species and look at the intelligent people throughout history and see what kind of motives they typically have. Okay, when you're thinking about these intelligent people, do you think of Genghis Khan, Hitler, I don't know, any of these warmongers throughout the years, any of these evil people that just want to go and destroy shit? No, you don't. You think of like Einstein and Nikola Tesla and Leonardo da Vinci and, well, I guess for today's sake, Musk and Neil deGrasse Tyson. These people, they have no interest in petty things like war. So if aliens are here, the least of our concerns is that they came to destroy us or to, take stuff from us or enslave us or whatever. Like, they have no interest in conquering. They'd be basically like scientists. Beyond that, it's really beyond our comprehension what they're capable of, what their motive would be. And the fact that they're here and they haven't destroyed us already is proof that we haven't been destroyed. But let's see, what proof do we have that they're even here? Well, beyond the insanely huge burst in technology and how fast it's advancing, I remember back in, I think it was like 2011, it's been damn near a decade, there was a video that came out, this Canadian Prime Minister dude or something, and he's in front of like the Parliament or whatever up in Canada, and he starts speaking about this book he came across and all these different things, and how there's these different alien species that the US government and other governments have worked with. And he said that there's at least 10 different species that we know of and 3 that we're working with. My numbers on this may not be perfect, but it's close. He said he even had the opportunity to meet one of them, which he called the tall whites. And as he's going through all of this, the thing that amazed me at the time, it didn't convince me, by the way. It didn't convince me that we were working with aliens. But what absolutely stunned me was that no one in the room was laughing, snickering, or anything. As a matter of fact, at different points, they started applauding him, as if it's like he just did this huge, brave thing. And you know what he said the reason was that we don't know about it? Because we're not ready. He's like, the governments believe that we're not ready for this, but I think that we are, blah, 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 blah. Fast forward to January 2020. Well, actually, you could go back to 2017, but people didn't pay enough attention to it. Watch The Phenomenon, this documentary that came out. I don't want to sit here and cover everything that's in there, but there's a lot of it in there. It tells you about what happened in 2017. It breaks down a lot of the different UFO sightings throughout the years. But let's go to January 2020. They come out and they admit to us, they finally, confess, if you will, the Navy, that UFOs are real. They're real. these videos, we can't explain them. They're nothing man-made. Here you go. Go forward a few months. Pentagon general comes out, says, yeah, we have pieces of alien craft. Well, he doesn't say alien craft, but flying crafts or whatever that were not made from Earth. So same thing, admitting to that. You think about someone like Bob Lazar, who's been talking since the 80s about UFOs and all this stuff, and talking about how he had the opportunity to go into a facility where they house these different alien crafts, and he was even able to go into one. And what's pretty cool is a lot of the different eyewitness accounts describe the spaceships as kind of like they were made in a mold. There's no areas where it was fused together. When you look at a car, you can tell where the hood and the different pieces all attach, and anything that's man-made, you can see where it all attaches. This was quite different. This is why when you look at the monoliths that popped up out of nowhere, it's quick to say they're probably not alien, and they're probably just man-made and people just goofing around, because you can see where there's rivets and it's put together. These alien crafts that they have found, the ones that seem to be legitimate, they don't have any kind of space where they were put together with bolts or nuts or anything. There's no fuse or whatever. And then when you go inside of it, Bob Lazar's eyewitness account, he says that there were no control panels, no way that he could tell of steering it or driving it or anything, which then makes you start thinking, would they use telepathy? Perhaps. I have no idea. Some of these eyewitness accounts of actually seeing the aliens are pretty crazy, and some of the most legitimate ones, you could put together a common theme. They're short, they have big heads, big eyes, and they're almost always wearing this like black, almost like diver suit. So what other witness accounts do we have? Or what other things are happening? Well, then a week ago or 2 weeks ago, there's this Israeli fucking dude who retired that was the head of their like science department and all that shit. And he comes out and he says the same shit that the Canadian guy back in 2011 that got barely any press, and the video still only has like 11,000 views on YouTube. He says the same shit he said, for the most part, that we've been working with them. There's some kind of galactic federation, all this other shit. Like, it's all coming together. There's a lot of evidence. It's pouring out like crazy in 2020. And then like a week later, we hear reports that there's a certain group that it works, scientists, they always work on trying to see if they can find any kind of alien signals out there. They discover some kind of radio waves coming from our closest solar system, I believe, or maybe galaxy, I can't remember exactly. And they said that this particular radio waves or whatever is something that we have only been able to see when it was created by man. Like, we created that wave. We've never seen it just be a natural thing. So that they believe that might be a communication coming towards us. So it's just like, at this point, it's as they call an orgy of evidence. There's all this stuff. You can find videos of a video of Trump being interviewed by his son, Don Jr. I believe this was around Thanksgiving. And he's saying, before you leave, will you tell us if aliens are real? Tell us what's going on with Roswell and all this stuff. And he goes, I can't say anything. He goes, I'll tell you, Roswell's, it's an interesting town. It's a very interesting town. Like, he won't deny it. Okay, well, that's Trump. Okay, maybe he's just being a goofball. All right, fair enough. But what about Obama? There is an interview with him and Colbert where Colbert says, hey, are UFOs real? What's going on? And Obama refuses to say no. Instead, he just says, I'm not allowed to talk about it. And then Colbert goes, well, I'm going to take that as a yes. And then Obama says, fair enough. You can do that. You have whatever. He just refuses to talk about it. Then I found this interview with Kimmel from a couple years ago with Barack Obama. And he's talked about how if he became president, the very first thing he would do is go and say, hey, show me what's going on with Roswell. Show me about UFOs. Show me all this stuff. And he asked Obama, is that what you would do? And Obama's response wasn't no, nothing. He just said, and that's why you would never be president, to Kimmel. And I'm like, interesting. And then Kimmel's laughing. Everybody's having a good time. And he goes, oh, the aliens, they have strict control over us and some shit like that, like just in passing. Kimmel, of course, doesn't address that, so Obama several times refuses to even address it. Like, he's not allowed to address it. Clinton, he tried to find out, admittedly said he tried to find out, and he said that basically it's over his head. The insane cover-ups over the years is the most biggest piece of evidence to me. Is there has been an insane amount of cover-up with so many stories that we've just been able to get breadcrumbs about recently. I've looked at the redacted reports and shit that they've released. And man, oh man, are they heavily redacted. They still show a few things that are like, holy shit. But what the hell is under the black redacted parts? Give us the full reports, people. Why are you afraid? Huh? Unless you have something to hide. Since 1947, there's been an insane freaking conspiracy, mass cover-up of all this stuff. If you look at newspapers back during that time, they weren't trying to cover it up as much. It was all over the newspaper. The 8 UFOs head towards Washington, blah, blah, blah. They send fighter pilots to go and attack them, and they disappear in an instant. Like, it's insane, the stuff that has happened. That freaking tic-tac thing, it moves like tick, 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 over the water, and then it disappears. Where does it reappear? At the exact location that the fighter pilots who were recording it and catching it were supposed to rendezvous afterwards. How did it know the coordinates? You know, what's going on? And that one has been admitted to be proof. Like, that's real. That's a real video. This shit's real. They're really fucking aliens, man. I'm telling you. If UFOs are real, and UFOs that they have seen are not man-made, why don't they just admit that it's from aliens then? Like, what else? Okay, what are they saying? Maybe AI made it? Maybe AI made all these? That's the other thing. Well, they come out and tell us that you have insanely advanced AI that you've been hiding. It's either AI or it's aliens. It's one or the fucking other. But I want to know why these very credible dudes, once they retire and they don't have anything to lose, are starting to come out of the woodworks and say shit about how we are working with aliens, when never in their entire history of being at their job or position or anything have they done things like this. Why our head of secretary, whoever it was, they talk about it in the phenomenon, like had a secret investigation that not even the presidents knew about, that ran through the Bush administration, the Obama administration, and the first year of the Trump administration, before a lot of it was released in the New York Times. And when he was asked, hey, do you think that there's anything else that hasn't been, evidence that hasn't been shown or like put out there? And he goes, no, I think that most of the evidence hasn't been shown or put out there. I'm like, this stuff's kind of crazy. If you don't believe that there's intelligent life in the universe, you've already lost. Like, you're already behind on that one. But to believe that they've been here, I can understand the skepticism. But I want to know, what the hell then? What's with the UFOs? What's with all the secrecy? Why is it impossible for even presidents at times to get access to anything? Who has more power than the president? Who are these people? We're not even told who the people are that won't let the president see things. Does the president even know? How are there things that the freaking president of the United States is not allowed to know, like Roswell? Why are they not allowed to know? And they call it super top secret, which is kind of a cheesy name, but whatever. You know what this tells me? This tells me that the one thing that people probably laugh at Trump the most about will be the most significant. It's called Space Force. Everybody's laughing, having a good old time. Oh, look how goofy it is, Space Force. Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, well, Trump probably found out that there's fucking aliens and was like, let's do it. I probably said this before. It's time that we start waking up. Start waking up to the idea that we're not alone. Not in the universe, and probably not even here on Earth. And one of the most credible accounts, and you find this out at the end of the phenomenon, so spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but one of the most credible eyewitness accounts of the aliens was this entire classroom full of kids over in Zimbabwe, I believe, and they were visited, and they were given, they were like communicated with, but through like images in their head. And this is back in the early 90s. And they all kind of got the same message, which was, be careful with technology. Be careful with it, because you're going to destroy your planet. Essentially this is what they were telling them. And they didn't seem like they were here to be mean. I also wonder why a lot of these, if you want to know why you haven't seen a UFO, it's probably because you look for them at nighttime. If you look at the actual ones they've admitted are true, they're damn near, as far as I know, they're almost all during the day. When you look at the videos and stuff. Like, so much of it happens during the day, which makes sense. Because if you're in a UFO flying around at nighttime, it's going to be a little easier to spot that on the black background. But just during the day, people barely even look up at the sky during the day. I realize that lately. How am I supposed to, see anything if I'm not looking? So I've decided I'm going to start looking to the sky more often. See if I can see any of these UFOs. What a moment that would be. But also, It would be like one of the things, like, imagine you saw a ghost and then you're kind of like, I don't want to tell anybody. Everybody's going to think I'm crazy. Well, guess what? You see a UFO, tell people. People don't think you're crazy anymore. This is like an accepted thing. It's a very accepted thing. I'm probably making this video trying to get you guys to accept something you've already accepted as a universal truth. It's known. UFOs are out there. What does this mean for society? What does it mean for technology? What does it mean for religion? What does it mean? The Vatican, they have 5 miles worth of text underneath it. They finally opened it up. Of course, you got to get to Vatican City. You have to be able to get down there. You have to be able to then translate languages that have been dead or changed so much that it's almost impossible to read. And then you have to deal with the fact that there's no Dewey Decimal System. It's all just scattered about down there with no rhyme or reason. So you have to dig through possibly for decades to find anything that you want to find. And rumor has it that there's probably text down there about aliens, about all kinds of crazy stuff, if you really dig into this and see the stuff that may be down there. And to me, I go, okay, sure, that's all opened up. But I imagine there must still be a little room somewhere where there's some shit that they don't want to share. I just have to imagine that. They hid it from public for a long time. But, you know, now it's open. Now people can go and look. I imagine they found the text they wanted to and got them out of there. It probably took so long because they were getting rid of all the shit they don't want people to see. It's pretty crazy. This world is about to be opened up to a whole new type of thinking. I'm not even 100% sure what it is. You know, I'm fully prepared to embrace all this change and the inevitabilities that are to come, but I still don't have any idea what this world's going to look like once that happens. This could be the path to a dystopia, or it could possibly be a path to a utopia. It's going to really come down to each individual person, you know, and how we choose to react. React in fear or react with hope. Embrace the change for the first time in our lives. We always fight change so fucking much. We're so afraid of change. It's so weird. It's because we let our subconscious run our lives, and the subconscious, as we've gone over, is a habit mind, and a habit mind doesn't want to be changed because it's habitual. That's the whole point. And when we're letting our lives be ran by that, of course we're going to fight change to our ideologies, to the truths that we hold self-evident, or whatever you want to call it. I'm just saying, people, get ready. You think 2020 was crazy? It's only just beginning. It truly, truly is. Always remember, what we know is a drop. What we don't is an ocean.